Hello everyone and welcome to my The Young and the Restless official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Friday, February 20th, 2026. Today on The Young and the Restless, Devon and Nate worry about Lily. Victor's disappearance concerns the Newmans and Victoria reveals her plan. At Society, Devon tells Nate that Dom is fine after the kidnapping. Devon's concerned about the consequences for Mariah, but explains that he and Abby have only gotten angrier at her, especially after she came to their house. Abby lost it and he is not convinced the redhead is no longer a threat. At the outdoor cafe, Mariah frets to Christine about being out and about in Genoa City. She's afraid of running into Abby and Devon or Tessa and Arya. The lawyer tries to reassure her but is openly appalled when Mariah tells her she went to Abby and Devon's house. Christine explains to Mariah that by taking responsibility for her actions, she's undermined her whole legal strategy, which is to argue that she wasn't responsible for her actions. Was Mariah's complaining about the trial being a month away? Who else? But Abby and Dom appear. At Society, Devon tells Nate the things Mariah said to Dom when she had him. He's not sure about Christine's strategy, which is to have her put in a psychiatric hospital rather than prison. In response, Nate drops a PSA on psychiatric illness. Meanwhile, at the cafe, Abby tries to drag her son out of there, but Dom feels the need to tell Mariah he's sorry he ruined their game by getting tired. Mariah kneels down and apologizes to him for keeping him from his mom and dad. Abby rolls her eyes. Mariah and Christine try to hustle off, but Abby's feeling a confrontation with the lawyer. "I'm confused. You're supposed to be Mariah's attorney and you're letting her out in public like this?" At the ranch, Chelsea, Adam and Victoria discuss both Victor and Phyllis having dropped off the radar. Victoria shares her concern that when her father's pushed to the brink, it's dangerous. They need to stop him before he does anything he regrets. Maybe they should have thought of this before he used Kane's AI. Victoria explains she has a plan of her own to force Phyllis's hand. She'll be taking a page from their father's playbook and going after what Phyllis loves. Chelsea instantly pulls her support. Ignoring her, Victoria reveals she's going to get Phyllis's kids to align with them. It will gut her. At Crimson Lights, Nikki causes instant concern by asking Noah and Sharon if they've seen Nick. They believed he was headed back to the ranch. Noah and Sharon are describing the agonizing pain Nick's still in when he strolls in carrying his cane, seemingly fine. Sharon stunned, "Buckle up because it looks like he took the fentanyl." They sit and Nick tells Nikki, Sharon and Noah that Victor's gone. Nikki complains he won't answer his phone. She fears that he makes these secretive moves for a reason. Switching gears, they go over Phyllis behaving as though she's done nothing wrong. As though reinforcing Victoria's plan, Nick and Sharon confirm how much she loves her kids. Setting up Phyllis's redemption, Nick hedges that he might be able to forgive his ex if she gives the company back. She's been out of sorts ever since she and Sharon were held hostage by the madman. Nikki runs off to meet Victoria, and Sharon and Noah question Nick about his miraculous turnaround. Nick admits he had a pill in his jacket pocket but doesn't say it was fentanyl. He claims he's going to swing by the pharmacy for a refill. Sharma grills him. He said he had a bottle at home and they just filled his prescription the other day. He can't possibly be out already. When he rips on, they realize he's not clear-headed and his speech sounds funny. Nick says the pill kicked in and he feels great. Uh-oh. Back at the ranch, Nikki tells Victoria she's starting to worry about her father's disappearance. Vicky hopes he's gone to find Phyllis. She needs to find her too, so she can implement her plan. She reveals that she's flying to Europe to get Summer on their side. She's confident she can do it. At the club, Adam tells Chelsea he has to find out what Lily was promised for her cooperation. He needs to find out where she is so he can question her. Adam senses he's the one who'll get screwed when the truth comes out. At Society, Nate and Devon's conversation turns from Mariah to Lily. It's odd they haven't heard from her at all. Is it time to start worrying? At the cafe, Abby rants to Christine that Mariah had a mental break and can't be better overnight. She should be in treatment, not out walking around and running into her son. Christine informs her that her client is free to live her life. Abby fumes, "What about my son's life? Or the life of some unsuspecting child that Mariah decides to claim as her own?" Mariah listens glumly as Christine insists the judge was satisfied that Mariah doesn't present a threat. Abby gripes, "If only I could believe that." At the ranch, Nick is sure that Summer will never turn against Phyllis, just as Victoria would never turn against her. Victoria will create the illusion of losing her. They have to come at Phyllis from all sides, including the inside. At Crimson Lights, Nick walks out and Sharon tells Noah she's never seen him act like that before. Noah wonders if she thinks he took more than one pain pill. She doesn't know, but something is definitely off. The city of Genoa was restless, its familiar streets cloaked in tension and unspoken fear. Inside the sleek, bustling society, Devon and Nate huddled in quiet conversation, the weight of recent events pressing down on them. Devon's brow furrowed as he tried to make sense of the chaos surrounding Mariah's actions. "Dom is fine," he reassured Nate, a faint shadow of relief crossing his face, "but what happened, it's complicated. And Mariah, well, she's not out of the woods yet." Nate leaned in, eyes sharp with concern. Devon explained how he and Abby had only grown angrier at Mariah after she showed up uninvited at their home, leaving tempers flaring and trust fraying. "I'm not convinced she's done being a threat," Devon admitted, the weight of responsibility heavy in his voice. Nate nodded slowly, understanding that in Genoa City, danger often came dressed in familiar faces. Not far away, the city's sun-dappled streets set the stage for a quieter, more vulnerable scene. At an outdoor cafe, Maria nervously clutched her bag, her eyes darting around as if every passerby might carry a threat. She confided in Christine, her voice trembling, I can't handle running into Abby and Devon or Tessa and Arya. I don't know what I'd do." Christine's expression hardened with a mixture of concern and disbelief as Mariah admitted she had gone to Devon and Abby's house. "Mariah," she said, her tone firm, "you've just undermined the very foundation of your legal strategy. Taking responsibility is supposed to help, but right now it's making things worse." Before the tension could settle, the cafe door swung open and Abby and Dom arrived, their presence immediately electrifying the room. At Society, Devon filled Nate in on Mariah's behavior while she had Dom in her care, recounting the chilling things she had said. Nate, ever the voice of reason, reminded Devon of the delicate balance between legal strategy and mental health, giving an impromptu PSA on psychiatric illness, his words cutting through the tension with measured care. Back at the cafe, Abby's maternal instincts ignited. She tried to pull Dom away, worried about his exposure to Mariah's influence, but Dom, with the stubborn honesty only a child can command, knelt down and spoke softly to Mariah. "I'm sorry I ruined our game. I got tired," he said. Maria's eyes glistened with tears as she bent down to apologize for keeping him from his parents. Abby, caught between pride and exasperation, could only roll her eyes, a small sigh escaping her lips. The confrontation escalated as Christine attempted to guide Mariah away. Abby's frustration boiled over. "I'm confused," she snapped, her voice echoing across the cafe. "You're supposed to be her attorney, and you're letting her walk around like this? Do you have any idea what she's capable of?" Mariah listened quietly, guilt and fear mingling in her eyes, while Christine held her ground, unwavering in her defense of her client. Meanwhile, at the Newman Ranch, a different kind of tension simmered. Chelsea, Adam, and Victoria gathered in the shadow of their family legacy, concern etched into every line of their faces. Both Victor and Phyllis had disappeared without a trace, and the implications were terrifying. Victoria's mind raced, calculating risks and strategies. When Dad's pushed to the brink, she warned, he's dangerous. We need to stop him before it's too late. Victoria revealed a plan, one that echoed the cunning maneuvers of their father. She would target Phyllis where it hurt most, her children. Chelsea recoiled instantly. You can't be serious, she said, her voice a mix of disbelief and fear. But Victoria pressed on, her determination unshaken. She would pull Phyllis's kids into her orbit, creating a wedge that could change everything. At Crimson Lights, Nikki's anxiety was palpable. She searched for Noah and Sharon, worry tightening her chest. Have you seen Nick? She asked, her voice barely hiding the tremor of fear. The two reassured her that Nick had been heading back to the ranch, but before any relief could settle, Nick appeared, walking in as if nothing had happened, his cane in hand, seemingly fine. Sharon's eyes widened in shock. Could it be? Had he really taken the fentanyl? The conversation quickly shifted to Victor's disappearance. Nick casually revealed that Victor was gone, leaving Nikki to fume about his secretive tendencies. He won't answer his phone for a reason, she muttered. The trio then turned their attention to Phyllis, who continued to act as though she bore no guilt for recent events, reinforcing Victoria's strategic plan. Nick noted the depth of Phyllis's love for her children, foreshadowing the emotional leverage Victoria intended to wield. Nick's confession about the pill in his jacket pocket sent a ripple of concern through Sharon and Noah. Something wasn't right. His speech sounded off, his movements too smooth, almost artificial. Yet he smiled, blissfully unaware of the unease he left behind. Back at the ranch, Victoria confided in Nikki about the next stage of her plan. She would need to create the illusion of loss, make Phyllis feel isolated, and bring Summer into alignment with their strategy. Nikki doubted the feasibility, Summer loyal to Phyllis and Victoria loyal to her father, but Victoria's conviction was unshakable. We have to come at Phyllis from every angle, even from the inside, she said. At the club, Adam's mission was clear. He had to uncover what Lily had been promised in exchange for her cooperation. Time was ticking, and the truth could shift the balance of power in ways no one could predict. Meanwhile, Nate and Devon returned to a troubling question. Lily? The silence from her was deafening, and worry began to gnaw at them. Had she been compromised? Was she in danger? Every unanswered message added another layer of tension to an already fraught day. Back at the cafe, Abby's anxiety spilled over. Maria had a mental break, she cried to Christine. She can't be expected to get better overnight. She should be in treatment, not wandering around and encountering my son. Christine remained firm, reminding her that Mariah had the court's approval to live her life. Abby's face contorted with disbelief. If only I could believe that, she muttered, her eyes flashing with protective fury. The day in Genoa City swirled with intersecting plots, rising tensions, and emotional reckonings. At Crimson Lights, Nick's unsteady behavior left Sharon and Noah questioning what had really happened and whether it was just the tip of the iceberg. At the ranch, Victoria's meticulous strategy promised upheaval, manipulating loyalty, love, and trust to force Phyllis into a corner. And at Society and the cafe, the fallout from Mariah's choices and Abby's protective instincts collided, threatening to ignite chaos at every turn. As the sun dipped below the city skyline, shadows lengthened over Genoa City. Secrets were festering, plans were in motion, and no one could predict which carefully laid strategies would crumble and which would endure. In a world where trust was fragile and alliances shifted with every whispered word, one thing was certain: the lives of Genoa City's residents would never be the same again. As night began to drape over Genoa City, the streets glimmered with the soft reflections of streetlights on wet pavement, and inside the cafes, clubs, and mansions, lives were spinning further out of control. At Society, the conversation between Devon and Nate took a darker turn. Lily's absence was no longer just unusual, it was unsettling. She hasn't answered a single message, Nate said, brows knitted, voice low with worry. Something's wrong. She wouldn't just disappear like this. Devon's jaw tightened. I know, but we have to assume she's keeping her promise for now. We just have to be ready if she isn't. Outside, the city hummed with life, oblivious to the tension inside. But inside the cafe, Abby's anger hadn't cooled. She was pacing, her voice rising with frustration as Christine tried to calm her. Maria isn't safe to be out here, she insisted, throwing a hand toward her son. Or anyone else she could hurt, even unintentionally. Christine met her gaze steadily, her calm a sharp contrast to Abby's storm. Abby, the court made a decision. Mariah's not a threat right now. We have to let her live her life or none of this will matter. Mariah, sitting quietly nearby, traced the edge of her coffee cup with her finger. Her face bore the weight of guilt and fear, a quiet storm brewing behind her eyes. When Abby glared at her, Mariah's small voice trembled. I'm trying, I really am, but the words barely reached Abby's ears, lost in the tension and worry for Dom. Meanwhile, at the Newman Ranch, Victoria's plan was moving forward with surgical precision. Nikki's concern for Victoria's disappearance was palpable, but Victoria's mind was already 2 steps ahead. I need to control what Phyllis does next, she said, her voice steady but urgent. If we manipulate the right pieces, her children, her alliances, she'll have no choice but to react the way we need her to. Nikki shook her head, worry knitting her brow. You're playing a dangerous game, Vicky. Victoria's eyes didn't waver. I know, but in this city, if you hesitate, you lose. Chelsea lingered nearby, the unease in her chest growing with every word. She watched Victoria's determination, the way she carried the weight of the plan like a weapon. I don't like this, Chelsea whispered to Adam, who stood close by, his own mind racing. You can't just control people's kids to get what you want. Adam's expression was dark, almost pained. It's not about control, it's about survival. If we don't act now, someone else will. Meanwhile, at Crimson Lights, the tension in the air was almost physical. Sharon and Noah watched Nick, who was leaning casually against the counter. Yet every gesture felt off, slightly exaggerated. I've never seen him like this, Sharon whispered, exchanging a look with Noah. They both suspected what no one wanted to admit. Nick's behavior wasn't normal. But what exactly had happened with that pill, and how far was he willing to go before the facade slipped? As the conversation turned to Phyllis, the pieces of Victoria's plan began to take shape in the shadows. Nick's words about Phyllis's love for her children inadvertently confirmed her strategy. Her leverage was growing by the moment. If she could exploit the emotional bonds that even love couldn't protect, the fallout could be devastating. Back at the cafe, Abby's confrontation with Christine reached its peak. You don't understand, she said, her voice shaking with a mix of fear and fury. Maria can't just be out here. She's dangerous. Christine's calm response cut through the chaos. Abby, if you truly want Dom safe, the court's judgment is our guideline. You have to trust it, even if it's hard. Abby's eyes flickered with doubt, the fear of losing control gnawing at her. Maria looked up, the pain of being both the accused and the misunderstood etched into every line of her face. At the Newman Ranch, the tension escalated further. Victoria's plan to bring Phyllis's children into her orbit was more than a strategy, it was a psychological game, one designed to destabilize Phyllis at her core. Nikki's unease grew with each passing moment. Summer would never betray her mother, Nikki said quietly, the weight of loyalty heavy in her voice. Victoria's answer was simple but chilling. Then we'll make it feel like she has. The illusion is all that matters. Chelsea and Adam watched silently, the ethical lines blurring with every move. Adam's thoughts returned to Lily. Whatever had been promised to her for her cooperation could tip the scales, and he had to find out before the consequences became irreversible. Chelsea noticed the tension in his posture, the way his fingers tapped almost imperceptibly against the table. She knew the moment of truth was coming, and when it did, nothing would be the same. Meanwhile, across the city, Genoa's familiar skyline hid countless secrets. From the cafe to the ranch, from society to crimson lights, plans collided, tempers flared, and loyalties were tested. The city's pulse quickened as the night deepened, and in every mansion and office, the whispers of betrayal, fear, and manipulation echoed louder than any spoken word. At society, Devon and Nate's conversation lingered in the shadows of uncertainty. Lily's absence wasn't just a concern, it was a ticking clock. "We can't just wait," Nate said, a note of urgency creeping into his voice. "Something's happening, and we need to know what." Devon nodded, a shadow crossing his features. "Then we find her before it's too late." The camera of imagination sweeps through Genoa City one last time for the night, Abby still fuming at the cafe, Mariah shrinking into herself, Christine's resolve unbroken, Victoria planning her calculated strikes at the ranch, Nikki torn between fear and loyalty, Nick navigating a dangerous haze, leaving Sharon and Noah on edge, Adam scheming to uncover Lily's secrets, Chelsea watching the storm unfold. Every character teeters on the edge of chaos. Each decision is stone-tossed into a pond whose ripples will touch everyone. As the night deepened and shadows lengthened, the city held its breath. Secrets were multiplying, alliances were fragile, and hearts were vulnerable. In Genoa City, every choice had consequences, every action could spark disaster, and in the quiet corners of the city, the unseen hand of fate was already at work, ensuring that no one would wake the same way tomorrow as they had today.